What's good, guys? Bugsy Benjamin back with another dime, back with another bar, back with another nugget. Hope you guys are doing good. My last video audio came out well, so the setup that I got going on seems to be doing pretty well. My neon sign hasn't come yet, should be on its way. Canada Post said it's on its way from Mississauga. It should come here in East Toronto. Yeah, it should be here in like 2 days, 3 days. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. Set it up, and I'm gonna take my lion picture. Or sorry, the hell, lion picture, and put it somewhere else. I like that lion picture. It gives me motivation. But yeah, today I want to talk about why I like to go ghost and the benefits of going ghost and extricating people out of your life. And certain people, obviously, there's a caveat, there's fine print, there's an exception to everything. But in general, when I say going ghost, I mean retreating back from yourself, and not from yourself, but retreating back into yourself from others, especially others who you can sense don't have your best intention at heart, or those who have not reciprocated the same energy and caring and love that you have to them. So those are circumstances where you always, not always, but you want to take a step back. Ghosts. When you take a step back and you disappear for weeks, months, and they don't even notice it, they don't even acknowledge your lack of presence. You never mattered in the first place. And even when they do, and when you do go ghost, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Boogsy's, where's Boogsy? I haven't spoken to him in a while. Where's he been?" Or when they reach out and they, "Yo, hey, what's good?" Or girl says, "Hey, big head," or "Hey, handsome," or "Did you miss me?" or whatever the case may be. You always want to put that relationship in a box and then distance yourself. And when you don't respond, and when they text and it's radio silence here on the other end, and they're like, "Oh shit, like this, Boogsy, he's not here," they know the reason why. People inherently know when they mistreat others. So in response, when that person ghosts them, no longer communicates with them, just poof, Casper's disappears out of their life, they know why. So there's no need to have a confrontation. And even in the circumstances where, let's say, there's a relationship that starts to slowly break apart because one person is treating the other. Actually, both people in the relationships aren't really treating each other the way they should be. And naturally, they tend to break apart. But typically with me, once I notice that natural growing apart, and, if I don't think there's going to be a way of fixing those issues, I'm just going to drop off the map. I'm just going to, fall back into the bushes like Homer Simpson. And that's all you'll see. You won't see hide, don't hear from me. You won't even know I exist though. And people need to feel that. People need to feel the absence of your presence, especially if you have a very imposing, a very big presence about yourself. When you when you remove yourself from others, they feel that. And I think a lot of people have an ego. Their ego doesn't want them to admit that, "Oh, I miss this person," or I benefited from that relationship probably more than I benefited them. People don't want to sit with themselves and look in the mirror and see that about themselves. They rather just bridge over water. It is what it is. Move on to the next victim. Also, when you quietly back out and ghost, you learn who actually matters. You learn what actually matters. The important conversations, even the small talk, the daily small talk, gossip conversations, not about others, but just everyday conversations. Those matter. Those build up relationships. Those put money into the relationship jar. And those conversations, they compound. Those interactions, those that time you spend with those people that matter, it compounds. And in that same light, that makes you realize what you lack from the relationships of others. You realize what someone else may not be giving you that they could be. You realize that, this person's a lot more fulfilling, or, cares for me a lot more than person B. Person A, I resonate with person A more so than person B. Or this person B is, dragging their foot. This person B is not carrying their weight. This person B isn't being the best person that they could be. And in turn, they expect that same, they expect me to show up and be the best person. Those are the people who, when you ghost, they quietly understand. And, you almost sometimes never hear back from them ever again. Unless one day you randomly see them in the street and it's like they see a ghost. It's like they're seeing a ghost when they come to see you. But yeah. Another aspect of being and going ghost is protecting your energy, protecting that positive energy. It's like you have a magnetic field around you, blocking bullshit energy. And when you naturally, this is a lot easier for, I think, introverts than extroverts. But when you have people that drain your energy, that, take without wanting to contribute and put back in terms of substance, in terms of energy and emotion, those people inherently tend to fall off over time. That energy that they feel with people who are charismatic, where the fuck was I even going with this? My bad. Let's switch the topic of conversation. Oh yeah, energy. That's what I was talking about. Protecting your energy. A very, very key aspect. Energy is both mental, physical, spiritual, and those are all aspects that you want to protect, especially from those who mean and cause harm. Those who stray from your values, those who practice values that are opposing to yours. People who don't have genuine intent and kindness. Those are people you want to keep out of your sphere of influence. Those are people you want to keep out of your bubble. And typically they probably find people, those kinds of people who, they're all consuming. I'm sure they probably find people ghosting them, and they're used to that phenomena of people entering their lives and leaving, entering and leaving. It's kind of like a revolving door of friendships and relationships. But it's very laborious. People like that, very laborious, that expect, people to give to the relationship, but they fail to look in the mirror and shine that same standard of expectation back on themselves. Finally, another, big benefit is autonomy. Autonomy is a big thing for me. Being able to control who it is that I interact with, that I allow in my space, that I allow in my, sphere of influence. You can't just let anybody in. And you need to have the discernment to kick people out who don't belong. You're You're not always gonna your judgment's not always gonna be 100% for the people that you let into your life, but you need to have the ability and the character to be able to kick those people out. Obviously, not in a physical certain sense, but quietly, efficiently. You know, purge yourself of people who don't carry their weight, dead weight. You want to be free. You want to be able to fly with people who can fly on their own. You want to be able to fly. Birds of a feather flock together. You want to be able to fly with other birds rather than having to have another bird hitch a ride on you and you can't fly properly. You want to find supporting people, supporting relationships, people that have genuine and caring, honest intent, people that show, appreciation in all facets. You know, they may show appreciation by giving you time, by giving you, energy, spending time, maybe teaching you certain things about life or about a certain topic. People that are interested in, people that will ask questions about how you are doing in life. People that will ask where your head's at from time to time. Those are important people that you want to keep in your life. And not the ones that, that are on social media, that, project themselves to be perfect and you have, the ideal image. You want to find people that have true, genuine, true understanding of who you are as a person, and vice versa. You may understand them as a person, and that connection, that connection may be there, and that's something that you guys have built and you can grow upon. But yeah, I enjoy going ghost. I'm sure some of you guys that have gone ghost on that is probably gonna be watching this video and be like, this motherfucker, feelings mutual. But yeah, don't feel guilty for going ghost. Don't let others guilt trip you into feeling like you owe everyone an explanation or that you need to have an opinion on everything. Have an opinion on what you know about. Keep people around that in your heart are aligned with your true values. And if you can stick to that and have the right people that can push you, that can motivate you to continue to better yourself day in and day out, and that have like practices, like standards, have similar lifestyles in terms of prioritizing their health, prioritizing family, prioritizing financial well-being. Those are people that you want to have a likeness to, a shared value of a relationship, of kindredness. I'm exercising my vocabulary. So knowing what you want, it should be pretty easy for you to know what you don't want and to exclude and to rid of yourself of the negative energies, the decaying energies, the draining energies, the people that, the people that are slowly dying, the people that are slowly dying in life. They're not growing, so they're regressing and they're falling behind the pack. People that blame others for their situation and their outcomes and their circumstance, rather than, looking in the mirror and taking into account of who they actually really, really, truly are when they peel back all the layers of their outside facade. So, choosing relationships rather than letting relationships choose you. Managing it in a way that's congruent and conducive to your mental, to your physical, and to your spiritual and financial health. These are all, key concepts that you want to action and exercise over time. And as you get older, you interact with all walks of life, you gain experience in the workforce and in everyday life and in different types of relationships, You know, you learn yourself the same way you learn other people. You learn yourself and what you want and what you don't want out of other people. And you know, you align yourself with certain characteristics, and you identify that easier in other people as you get older. I've noticed, I've experienced that as I've gotten older. I can identify certain characteristics in people that, you know, I want in myself, that I see building in myself, and that person can help me get there. And the opposite is true as well. Maybe I have certain characteristics or certain standards that may benefit others. And that's where we have a mutually beneficial relationship, where we're both contributing to each other's success rather than one person piggybacking off another or drawing or, you know, siphoning off another. Those are leeches. People that do that are leeches. People who are in your relationship or interact with you solely for the intent to take and to, you know, they're only there for what they can gain out of the relationship, not for what they not for what they can contribute. You don't need people like that. I don't need people like that in my life at this stage in my life. I'm looking for contributors. I'm looking for participants. I'm looking for people who aren't afraid to be bold. I'm looking for people who aren't afraid to say the truth and have tough, difficult conversations on difficult subject matter. I'm looking for people who, you know, have thought about certain concepts and philosophies and have a certain way of viewing the world, a certain way of living. They have a framework of how they view life. And that framework is not, you know, it's incongruent with real life. It's incongruent with how life actually works, with the laws of nature. It's not idealistic or how you think life should be. It's, okay, here's life, here's truth, here's the way human beings, here's the way we really are in real life. And here's my concept, here's my framework and how, in terms of how I interpret that and how I move throughout life, throughout the game, throughout this game of life. So I'll leave you guys with that for now. Yeah, going ghost, it's not always a bad thing. Obviously, you know, context matters. Going ghost for the sake of not having a tough conversation, that I don't agree. But if you've said all you can say and then there's nothing to be had from a conversation or a confrontation, there's nothing wrong with just taking a quiet step back and bringing it back home and going back within and building yourself and sticking to your own goals and your own trajectory and protecting your energy, protecting your aura, you know, protecting your sphere, your electromagnetic sphere. Yeah, so I'll leave it with that. I'm gonna upload this and I'll see you YouTube folks on the next video. Peace.